There we got a great comment to start this off with. Drink Narragansett, talk Bengals. That's what we're here for. This is the Cincy Jungle Bengals pregame show and virtual tailgate. I'm Matt Minnick. With me is John Sheeran and Anthony Cosenzo will be joining us soon. We are having some Gansets and talking a little football, getting you ready for today's matchup. The Battle of Ohio, round 2, and the Cleveland Browns coming into town. And you can see from my partner's face already, could be a rough one. Not sure how this is going to go. John, what are your opening thoughts on this game coming up here?
Yeah, very, very riveting stuff. You got a very fraudulent 4-2 team facing one of the worst teams in football today. I'm actually not in Cincinnati, so I can't really give you a firsthand perspective on the weather or anything like that. But yeah, both teams are going to be out with a couple key starters. Like for the Bengals, we can talk about Joe Mixon and William Jackson out. And for the Browns, you have right guard Wyatt Teller and tight end Austin Hooper out. He just got an appendectomy, so he's out for about a couple weeks. So both teams a little bit banged up. Both teams kind of reeling off of a loss. One a lot more devastating than the other, even though one of the teams lost by like 30. So yeah, both teams looking for something to prove with not the greatest health on their side. So a little bit desperation here in come late October.
Yeah, you mentioned Hooper. The Hooper thing kind of makes me nervous because the Bengals have Carlos Dunlap trying to get out of town, but they're not really showcasing him. And the Browns have David Njoku trying to get out of town, and I mean maybe that's what makes them try and focus and show him off. They've been better against tight ends this year, but obviously not last week. I mean, a lot of complaints about Darius Phillips, and they had Darius Phillips trying to cover these big body dudes that he couldn't really cover. It was kind of a bad matchup, and now coming in with all the issues they have without William Jackson and everything, and David Njoku makes me a little nervous amongst a plethora of other things going on
right.
with the offense.
I think Njoku is still going to be the number 2 today. I think Harrison Bryant, the rookie from Florida Atlantic, is going to start over Austin Hooper, and Chris Hubbard, the swing tackle for the Browns, he's going to start in place of Wyatt Teller. He started there last week against the Steelers, and the difference between both of them is just extreme. It's very noticeable, and it kind of bodes well in the Bengals' favor because they're going to get a defensive tackle back in the form of Mike Daniels. We're not really sure how much he's going to play. I mean, we were on this pregame stuff last week talking about how much is Xavier Williams going to play, and Xavier Williams ends up starting and plays like 30, 40 snaps. So we don't really know what Daniels is going to do today. We just know this is his first game back after being on injured reserve for the past 3 weeks, and they need all the help they can get up there.
For better or worse, they are unpredictable. We do have a weather report from Cincy. Nice and cool, low 50s right now. So thank you for that, Nicholas. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I really like the rookie tight end. He was one of my favorites in the draft. I didn't think the Bengals would go tight end at all, but he's a guy that I like quite a bit, and a little bit more of a receiver, and just like Njoku, a little bit more of a receiver. So again, more things that could help the Bengals to be able to stop the run a little bit. Missing a few guys up there up front for the Browns. I mean, I don't know. I think the Bengals are outmanned on the defensive front. I feel like the guys they're playing are getting better. I feel like they're battling. They're not what they need to be, but I mean, maybe the guys they're starting right now, could be some kind of role players that can play key snaps later on down the line. I don't think again, this is not what they need. They definitely need to do some serious work up front on the defensive line, but. I mean, we've seen some good things. I thought Xavier Williams looked pretty good last week.
Yeah.
Bledsoe's looked pretty good in the various roles that they've had him in. I said, getting Mike Daniels back would be good. We'll see what's the deal with Geno this week. To me, really the big thing in that game last time around, like there were a lot of different issues, but you had a short week. You had at the time banged up and still banged up and not very deep defensive line. Now with a little bit more time to game plan, now with some linebackers that have more experience in the system. I mean, even Bynes, it was his second game as a Bengal. Pratt's the only one that had really started any, substantial games at linebacker. Like, hopefully they can do a better job with it. I actually noticed looking at the last game, every run of 10 plus yards was a gap scheme run, except there was one draw, but like it wasn't the outside zone that you expected to be with the Browns. Like, don't get me wrong, they were still running the ball very effectively out of that, but like the big games that killed them were on those down gap scheme plays, and obviously missed tackles is a huge aspect of it. I went through and looked because I was like, was it just Chubb? It wasn't just Chubb. It was, Hunt was breaking tackles at roughly the same rate. So, hopefully they've improved in those areas and they can do something to contain it. But like the Bengals were able to fight back into that game, and it was a 1-score loss. They scored at the end, towards the end to make it a 1-score loss. So, you can argue that it wasn't that close. But like they were kind of hanging out right in that area the whole game. I mean, what do you think of this offense now with Burrow with a little bit more experience, with Higgins, really, having a great game last week, but kind of coming along. AJ Green actually doing some stuff last week. I mean, do you think they can keep pace with this Browns offense if the defense is going to struggle?
Right. Like last time Burrow threw for 316 yards and AJ Green had 29 of them, and he had 13 targets thrown his way and he only caught 3 of them. So a lot of offensive production not coming from your number one receiver, and also John Ross playing a decent amount of snaps during that game, and he obviously didn't do anything. So a lot of Tyler Boyd, a lot of tight ends too. Like before CJ Uzomah got injured, he had the first touchdown of the game. He had 42 yards. When he went out, Drew Sample got involved more. He had, at the time, his career high in yardage with 45. Mike Thomas got involved. He got his first touchdown in maybe his career, or at least in C was a Ram. So Burrow distributed the ball really good against the Browns defense the last time out. Assuming that Green is in a better place now than what he was back then, you can kind of rely on him to at least do better than what he did last time. Tyler Boyd's still going to have another good matchup in the slot against the Browns secondary. But yeah, Greens and Higgins gaining quick separation on the outside against Terrence Mitchell, Denzel Ward. That's going to be crucial for Burrow to match that production from last time. But obviously, from just a humane perspective, you don't want Burrow dropping back 71 times again against this Browns defense that can still rush the passer. Myles Garrett, the legit defensive player of the year candidate. The Bengals tackles, they're still the same. Jonah Williams is good, but he's still inexperienced, and he's probably a mismatch when compared to Garrett. Bobby Hart can just hope for the best and hope that he can grab onto him and not get called for holding from time to time. So Garrett's still going to be a problem. That pass rush is still going to be a problem. They have guys like Sheldon Richardson and Jordan Elliott that can generate pressure up the middle. I think Richardson had one of his best games of his career last time in week 2, especially against the run. So not a lot has changed on both sides, and there's going to be similar matchups. But going back to the defense, you're right. The Browns ran all over this team, and it's not like they established a run early on. They were just going out wide zone, play action, bootlegs, and they were torching the Bengals defense all throughout the back set. Like, it wasn't just the linebackers. The secondary was caught off guard too. There was a lot of miscommunication. There was a lot of gaping, wide open receivers down the field. Odell Beckham burned William Jackson a couple times. There was just guys running open over the middle. So it would be smart for the Browns to go back to that. But it's kind of, you're entering a similar situation where you're getting the Browns right after they just got destroyed by an AFC North opponent. The Ravens destroyed the Browns to start the season. They came back, got right against the Bengals. They were demolished against the Steelers last week. Now you're entering a similar situation where there's a formula to beat Baker Mayfield, but if the Browns operate within the same scheme and plan of attack that they did against the Bengals last time, I'm not sure if the Bengals still have the personnel to counter that. If they just go play action after play action after play action, like, they're still going to get some wins against the Bengals defense, and they're still going to get some explosive plays. It's just a matter of, recognizing that's probably going to happen. You have at least precedent to understand that and to try to counter it immediately instead of late in the game where it's just too late.
Yeah. So obviously Jackson was a huge part of this, and even Jackson struggled with OBJ, as he pointed out last time around. Even Jackson struggled against OBJ. Last week we saw, and we were seeing it all year, that Phillips and Sims just aren't getting it done. Neither one of them is really getting it done as a CB2. I think the Bengals are trying to cross their fingers and hope they can get 30 reps out of each of them a game that are good, and try and create a CB2 that way. But now, guess what? They both got to be on the damn field. Now there's no Jackson, so we're relying on both those guys against some really talented receivers. On the Bengals side of things at the offense, AJ Green last time around, 13 targets, 3 catches. So I mean, if anything, hopefully, if they try and shut down AJ Green again with Denzel Ward, hopefully, just Burrow has more confidence to go other places, or whether some of that I'm sure was play call related too. Like, hopefully, they just have more more confidence to work in other guys. Anthony, how you doing today?
I'm all right, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you. So
okay,
we were
cool.
talking about
showing my mic
can
was
the
working,
Bengals
so.
keep up? We know they're going to struggle on defense. We know that the can this offense score enough points? I mean, I think that's where it kind of comes down to.
Unfortunately, I think you're correct. First of all, your sweater's amazing, dude. That's a pretty epic sweater you got on there, Matt. Love that thing. But unfortunately, I think you're right, and I think I heard you guys talking about the cornerback issues for the Bengals and whatnot. I think, unfortunately, it's going to take them scoring a lot of points today to be able to win. You've also got questions about Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap. I don't know if you guys have addressed that stuff quite yet, but you've got, snap count questions there. You've got cornerback questions. Mike Daniels supposedly is returning, so maybe that'll help a little bit. But overall, I think that the Bengals are going to need to score quite a few points. Probably, I would guess over 27, maybe even over 30 to be able to come out with a win today.
Yeah, I mean, it really sucks coming into this. The Bengals have not been swept. Well, the Bengals have been swept by the Browns twice this century. 2018, the most recent. Marvin Lewis's last year. And before that, 2002. That was my freshman year of college, by the way, 2002. And that was Dick LeBeau's final year as head coach. So, some people are going to applaud that. And the idea of that. I tweeted that out a few days ago, and I was like, I shouldn't do this. But so look, it's a big deal. And Anthony, I think you described the Browns as a fraudulent 4-2 team, and I really, it's interesting because it's the Browns are they're like the opposite of the Bengals. Like,
yeah,
they're actually executing when they need to. Like, they're doing the little things, and you got to be able to do the little things, obviously. But yeah, at what point does push come to shove, and the wheels come off of that?
The saddest thing about what you just brought up, Matt, is the fact that you confirmed that I'm the oldest guy on this show based on when you went to college.
Not by that much, though, right? I mean, we talk about the same early Bengals memories and stuff.
It's close. Without divulging, it's close. It's close.
It's rough looking back, going back that far. You touched on it. So let's go there. Dunlap eating chips on Instagram. Looked like he was trying to make peace with it. We're coming off of a week ago. AJ Green, people think he said trade me on the sidelines, and then he got himself mentally right. Wherever he was at before, obviously, because he went out and he had his best game of the season against the Colts. He was able to be productive. So you're kind of hoping when you see Dunlap on Instagram, yeah, he might be trying to set up a trade for himself and playing nice and trying to, show people, hey, look, I'm not a problem. But you're hoping like, all right, maybe this is it. Maybe he realizes. He said he needs to listen more. He said he needs to approach things, differently. He needs to communicate better. Like maybe this is it, and he'll refocus, and they'll get him in there. And then he's tweeting out apparently the D-line depth chart. Look pretty. I don't know why the D tackles wouldn't be listed right next to them if that's what Nick Eason really wrote on the board. So I don't know.
I think it was like sub packages.
I don't know if that's what Nick Eason wrote on his board. Anyway, like so then you have that, and we all wake up to that Saturday and we're thinking fan frickin' tastic. He's active. I don't know if he's playing, but he's going to be out there. I mean, what do we think? Obviously, it sucks with a guy, long-time guy. You don't want to see it end this way, but
no, honestly, I thought it was hilarious. Like, there's nothing I can do. Like, I wake up at 8:30 and I see something I've never seen before, which is a player literally posting on Instagram what appears to be like just the order of which players go in on sub packages. You have Carl Lawson and Marcus Hunt, who was just signed this week, hasn't played for the Bengals in like 4 years, and he's over Dunlap. It's like I can understand the frustration there. Like I obviously would have hoped that he would contact his agent or something like that, someone who would get in the way of him actually doing that and potentially committing career suicide by leaking confidential information over Instagram. And by the way, I think that post is still up. So it's not like he cares. Like all I can do is laugh. Like that's just hilarious. Yeah. I've never seen that before in my life. And I understand the frustration he's going through, but like at the same time, like, what are you doing? It's just crazy.
Yeah, one of the thoughts I had when I first saw that thing is, like John, I was like, oh man, what are we doing? What are we doing here? But the other thing is, I always looked at this season potentially being. My hope was maybe it would resemble something similar to 2003, Marvin Lewis's first year. I know it's not Zach Taylor's first year, but you kind of feel like he didn't really get a fair shot to start last year. Maybe, kind of new quarterback, fresh start, kind of getting more quote unquote Zach's guys, active free agency. Maybe this is like a 7-9, 8-8 season where they have a late surge. Still could be that, but they have a late surge and, they kind of surprise some people later in the year and that sort of thing. Well, there's one parallel so far that kind of with this Dunlap situation between 2003 and this year, and that's, if you remember that year, Corey Dillon was a guy that became extremely frustrated with his role, and especially with the emergence of Rudy Johnson in front of him. And Corey Dillon kind of became a disgruntled guy after being their star player for so many years. Now, the difference is that Rudy in front of him was producing at a very high rate, right? I mean, he kind of became the guy. And there was reason to kind of say, hey, Corey, now your attitude and all that kind of stuff, that's going to take a backseat because we've got a viable option here. To John's point, Dunlap's having some issues and with what's being laid out by the coaching staff, but there's not really guys in front of him that are necessarily lighting the world on fire. Lawson's having a decent year, but John and I talked about it on Wednesday. The guys getting snaps in front of Gino and Carlos are a practice squad call-up and a guy that just signed off the street and a free agent. And Xavier Williams played decent against the Colts. He had a couple of nice plays last week, but I mean, it's not like you've got a Pro Bowl in waiting that's taking over for Dunlap. And I know they're still maybe in a little bit of roster evaluation mode at this point, but this is an issue. This is a big issue going forward with this team, and it's really kind of disheartening to see what's going on.
Yeah, I 1,000% understood Lawson over Dunlap because honestly, I think Dunlap looks like he's at a point where he should be a role player. I think if he gets traded, he's probably going to go to a team that's pretty good and already has some pretty good players, and he's going to be a rotational guy. And maybe he'll be able to do something for him. Maybe we'll be able to help him. He's just not there. And even like last year, his sacks, he didn't have any sacks at the beginning of the year. And then you look at the sack production at the end of the year, he had 2 against the Jets. He had 1 in each game against the Browns, which wasn't impressive last year. Like he kind of piled on at some opportune times. So we're going to take a break before we get to Gino and bring in our guest today. Very excited. we're always excited to bring in different Bengals personalities, and we've got some great Bengals characters in throughout the internet. So today we are bringing on one of those guys, and it is the Bengal.
What's going on, guys?
Bengal, how are you?
Oh, I'm all right. How are you guys?
Good. I feel like like in Civil War when in Captain America Civil War, like Ant-Man, which just every time it's like, thank you, Captain America.
Well, I feel like in the movie Spider-Man, when he gets sees his first suit for the first time, I think I might need an upgrade.
I like it. I think it's clutch. And actually, I was going to say, though, I think you've got a great costume, but I feel like you could do some work on your poses, because I see you in pictures, and it's just like hands crossed in front. So I've got some thoughts on that for you.
Oh yeah.
Obviously it's football. You could go with the Heisman
there
pose.
you go. Yeah.
That's always a winner. You could go a little old school and go with the Al Bundy. 4 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah, that might work.
Of course.
See, the problem with the Al Bundy is, I'm crossing my hands in front to hide some things from people, and that might expose a few things that probably don't necessarily need to be exposed on the internet.
I got you. Well, yeah, we got a bit of an incomplete uniform. I got you. I mean, superhero wise, obviously there's the classic Superman pose.
There you go.
Then, like, the more modern, you've got the superhero landing that everybody does in the MCU.
Yes, I love that.
But I mean, you're an animal, right? Like, maybe it should be the beast.
That might work.
More action to it. And then, of course, there's
I could maybe do the Usain Bolt thing.
Captain Morgan pose. You can't lose with the Captain Morgan pose, right?
Oh, perfect.
So how did you come up with this character?
Well, first things first, even though I can't drink it, I got cheers to you guys. I saw John had his Bud Light on him. Yeah, I was just scrolling through Twitter one day, and like we do on the regular, and the captain happened to post something. He said, I'm not sure why nobody has done this yet, and he had a picture of the Bengal on there. He said, I don't see why we don't have this yet, and I just happened to see it, and I was like, hey, I'll hop on there, I'll do it. So we came together with this, and I had contacted a couple of seamstresses, and just we went to work on it.
So what are the materials here? Is it like spray paint, or is it just
no? This is actually this is just a tiger fabric that Bengal tiger fabric that she had found and used together, and she just sewed everything together to give me the look that I was going for.
So I don't know if you can hear me this time. Last time we had an issue with our guests not being able to hear me. So
yeah, I got you.
Bengal, I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, okay, good to see you, man. I just want to say this for people tuning in, because I don't think a lot of people know this. The Bengal was instrumental in coordinating a fantasy football league with a lot of us that blog about the Bengals and cover the Bengals, and it's a really cool idea. I'd like you to kind of tell people about it, but basically showed kind of a high level of character on your part, because you all the proceeds we paid to play in this fantasy football league went to are going to Joe Burrow's little foundation that he does. So I kind of would like you to tell our fans a little bit about your idea behind that, and how much money, if you know offhand, we've raised for that, because that was a really cool idea on your part.
Yeah. First of all, I just wanted to say, this was the perfect day for y'all to bring me on. Anthony, you kind of spanked me last week, so this is definitely the week to bring me on.
That's not why I brought it up. I promise.
But I just there's a thing that Scott Fish does every year. He's part of the fantasy football community. Part of the it's called the Scott Fish Bowl. And it basically is thousands and thousands of entries every year, and they raise money to go to the I think it's the Toys for Tots. They collect all this money, and they put it all to together to collect toys for them. But I wanted to do something for the Bengals fans, So I just thought, why not do something like that? And Jake, I see there, he's in the league. But yeah, we just, all the proceeds went to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund, and we have a contestant in one of those leagues that is going to donate $1,000 to the winner's charity of their choice. So I thought that was something else that was amazing that this guy done for us. So, but yeah, I wanted to do something like that. I love fantasy football. Unfortunately, I'm not doing very well this year in that league, but it's all for a good cause. So,
did you make the same mistake that I did and draft too many Bengals?
No, I wanted to, but unfortunately, Anthony was in there, and he happened to get the punch on every single one of them, just about.
So Anthony's not doing well. Is that what I'm taking it?
You know what? He's doing better than me, so I really can't say nothing. His strategy is working better than mine was. So.
Well, it's just proof to Scott Allman's point in the Facebook chat. It's just proof that I'm a know-it-all and don't really have good opinions. So, I don't actually. It's funny. I don't do very well in fantasy football. I play a bunch. I spend money to play, and I tend to lose far more frequently than I win. So I will profess that I am not a very good fantasy football player. But I wanted to bring that up though, because that was a good idea on your part.
I always say, it's funny. I tend to do better in leagues that I'm not spending any money in, but.
Yeah, I just get aggravated because, like I'll play a guy and he won't do anything. And then I'm just thinking, well, he should have. Like, I don't know why they aren't calling more plays to that guy.
Yeah.
I'm probably rougher on the coaches when I'm playing fantasy than when I'm
I know. You look at them.
talking about the Bengals or any other teams in real life. But so what you said you contacted some seamstress and they got to work on the outfit for you. Like how long did something like that take you to put together? Was it was it a long process?
It took quite a while.
Oh, we lost him. Did we lose him?
He couldn't reveal the secrets.
Are you there?
Yeah, I just can't see you.
All right, here, hold on 1 second. See if I can get this back up.
He may have unmasked himself. He doesn't want to release the identity, so that's why his camera went dark.
Let me hop off here and I'll hop back on.
All right. Hey, we'll go briefly to the hit of the week. We'll check that out while we're waiting here.
And now for the high neighbor hit of the game. When the Bengals picked up Xavier Williams last week, nobody expected him to play over half of the defensive snaps, but he did. And he had a big impact on this defense. On this play, he had a big impact on Jonathan Taylor as he cleans up the Josh Bynes tackle. This was an excellent play by the newcomer, and it's good for this week's high neighbor hit of the game, brought to you by Narragansett. And now for the Narragansett fresh catch of the game. Well, we've all been waiting for this one. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow hooks up with fellow rookie T. Higgins for a 67-yard gain.
Yeah, phone call on it.
This was hopefully the first of many big-time connections from Burrow to Higgins. And it's this week's Narragansett fresh catch of the game.
Sorry about that, guys. I had somebody tried to phone call or call me, so you'd think they know I'm on online right now.
Now we're good to go.
Can everybody in the world see us right now?
Yeah, pretty sure everybody in the world is watching, but that's all right.
you got a superhero call, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Duty calls. Is everything okay? Do you need to go fight some crime or what's going on?
No, I think we're good for now.
Okay.
So
All right.
let's talk about this. It's been a bit of a downer of a pregame show so far, for obvious reasons. The Bengals are hurting. The prospects don't look great today. What do you think? What's your take on today's game?
Well, I'm always going to be optimistic. I definitely think we can do something. Give them something they haven't seen yet. I know. I think CJ caught Burrow's first touchdown pass in the first game that we had. Is that right?
Yep.
So I definitely I'm going to call it right now. Since it is National Tight End Day, I'm going to say a Drew Sample game-winning touchdown will happen today.
Did you just say it was National Tight End Day? Is that a thing?
National Tight Ends Day. Didn't you know that?
I didn't.
It's who is it that normally he definitely the tight end for the 49ers. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, Kittle. They were talking about
Kittle,
earlier.
Yeah, he's always he always goes off on National Tight Ends Day. He loves to make everybody know what's going on. But I think the NFL said that they were they're miking every tight end up in the league today. So we might hear Drew out there talking some smack.
Man, that sucks for Ethan Carter. National Tight End Day, he gets inactive out of nowhere.
I know.
Yeah, and really, Drew Sample, he gets dogged so much because people didn't like the draft pick. I feel like, and myself, a college tight end who never caught a pass. I think we need our own day for blocking tight ends game. Blocking tight ends. We need our own appreciation day.
But you know what? It's crazy though, because I think doesn't he only have like 2 incompletions, and unfortunately it was the 2 that was in the end zone. So I mean, the guy can catch. It's just I'd like to see him use them more, but
yeah, they're definitely. He definitely took a step back athletically from CJ. I think he's been pretty reliable out there, and we'll see. Sometimes those guys just need an opportunity. So, how about a score prediction? I think we've had you. We kept you longer than we told you we would. So I'm sure you got to get going for get yourself situated for the game.
Yeah.
Probably in a layer of some sort, perhaps a cave.
The Bengal cave.
Do you have a huge tower in downtown Cincinnati? Is there a Bengal tower?
No, I'm actually I live about 45 minutes east of Cincinnati, so I'm definitely gonna have to do some running, to try to get there before 1 o'clock. But I'm gonna say with my score prediction, I think, and I've said this, it's kind of where I was thinking. I think last week it was. Or the last time we played them, wasn't it? It was 35-31?
35-30.
35-30, okay. I'm going to say that it is actually this week. We're going to flip it, and it'll actually be 30, let's say 35-28 is what I'm thinking.
All right, 5 touchdowns.
Right.
Let's get it.
No field goals whatsoever. I like it.
I just, you know what? I wanted to say we'd have a clutch game-winning field goal at the end by Randy Bullock, but I don't think I want to put my name to that.
That seems like the least predictable thing ever. I mean that dude can make him in the third quarter though.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us. You've been a great guest. We really enjoyed it, and we'll go Bengals.
Go Bengals. Who Dey?
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
All right. So that was the Bengal joining us on the Narragansett fan hotline. So coming in round 2 here versus the Browns. I mean, I think in years past, you'd look at the Browns and you definitely worry about a get-right game here for them, and the Bengals have been that team for too many people. I think in the past, the Browns would be prone to blow it, or think, hey, we beat these guys last time, and look past it. But I mean, this does appear to be a pretty good coaching staff that they brought in. Just a real intelligent head coach. Obviously, we talk about Callahan, the job he's done. Longtime followers may remember that when the Bengals were looking to hire a head coach, 2 years ago, I was talking about Joe Woods as the defensive coordinator, and nobody hired him as a coordinator last year. The Browns get him this year, and I mean, I think he's doing a great job with that defense as well. So we'll see. We'll see what we'll see what those coaches are worth, and we'll see what our coaches can do with a lot of negative situations.
I think it just requires like just the smallest ounce of self-awareness. Like Anthony mentioned it earlier, it's going to take at least like 27, 28 points to comfortably win. Like this is a team that just got destroyed by the Steelers. They scored 7 points in that game. Baker Mayfield looked terrible. And now there's talks about him not being on a short leash. They're going to give him the rest of the season to figure it out. But we're just conditioned to believe that he's going to have another good game, and it's going to be up to the offense to try to match it because there's just nothing that this defense can do to stop this. Like this is a team that has struggles, and we just know that they're going to score. Like we talked about, there's only been 2 times this century the Browns have swept the Bengals. The tide has turned. This has always been a rivalry where it's been competitive, but it's always been clear that no matter how bad Cincinnati is in a given year, they were always ahead of the Browns. They were always the big brother in that rivalry. It's not that anymore. Matt just mentioned that their coaching staff superior, their roster superior, their ability to prepare against bad teams is superior. The Bengals are the bad team in this case. Now we're talking about a win or potentially die in the form of Zach Taylor's tenure here. So for a Week 7 game in October, this is big, but it's also a realization that this is just the lesser team right now.
First of all, I want to give a little shout out to Engraven Vids, and he's joining us. He's been a special guest on our podcast a couple times to help us with the Ravens game. So good to see Justin from Engraven Vids there joining us on the pregame show. But anyway, I agree with John. And here's the thing, guys. I mean, I did a little research, but Baker Mayfield, for all the struggles he's had and the inconsistencies he's had in many, many games throughout his career, he's 4-1 against the Bengals. And in 5 games, he's got 12 touchdown passes. So, I mean, he gets right against the Bengals and we saw that in Week 2. Remember, people were calling for his head. Is he going to be the guy? Is he the guy long term? Burrow coming in, and he's getting all the media attention going into Week 2. And Baker played one of the best games I've seen him play in a really long time. I mean, he threw the 1 interception, but he was incredibly efficient. So the Bengals need to figure out a way to make him uncomfortable. The one loss that he has against the Bengals at the end of last year, the Bengals had 6 sacks and I think upwards of 8 quarterback hits on him. So they need to be able to get to him, especially with Nick Chubb out of the lineup. I know Kareem Hunt's a really good player, and the Bengals need to score points on offense. Bobby Hart needs to figure it out against Myles Garrett, but they need to do stuff to make Baker feel uncomfortable because he has, in his short career, torched the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at how they're doing, in terms of pass rush this year, they're like, they got nothing. I mean, they got Lawson, that's about it. And, it's not that hard to account for one guy. The rate at which, Lawson's able to get to the quarterback, not as high as it should be, but I mean, they're really missing that guy. And I mean, now you don't even have Hubbard. I mean, Hubbard was okay. And maybe a little better than okay on the inside. Again, I think he's really more of a role player type of guy. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it's a tall order, and maybe it's creatively using Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis Gaither on some of those 3rd down situations. We'll see, because they don't have that group. And I mean, hopefully it's not the same thing we saw with Phillip Rivers. I think there was they should have adjusted faster, but there was some data that showed that giving Phillip Rivers time wasn't necessarily good for Phillip Rivers. So I can justify rushing 3 to some extent in that game. I can't justify rushing 3 in this game, though, or letting that guy run around. I mean, we'll see.
Can I break some news for you guys?
What we got?
Yeah, we got Ian Rappaport reporting that Quinton Spain's going to be visiting the Bengals this week. the right
That's
guard
good.
that was just cut by the Buffalo Bills. He was a starter for the Titans for about 4 years before he signed a 3-year contract with the Bills. He's been available for about a week, but yeah, they could have some right guard help coming in.
All right. Well, I mean, that's some good news. I think it seemed like things were moving a little slow on that front. Now, if he's coming in next week, we're not going to see him until after the. I think with the COVID protocols and everything coming in from outside, I don't think there's any way he's going to be able to be ready for. I don't know. Xavier Williams was though. I don't know. I'm wondering if we'll be able to see him for the Titans if that does happen, even if it happens quick.
Yeah, like I think Williams visited before, like I think he visited before the Ravens game. Then he signed with the team, I think right after the Ravens game, and then he practiced that week, and then all of a sudden he started. Spain could theoretically visit like Monday or Tuesday. They could sign him like I don't know, maybe right before the game, maybe after the game. But I think you're right though. I think that they might want to see what Redmond does for against the Titans, go into the bye with maybe signing Spain, evaluate where you are, because then you might have Xavier Su'a-Filo coming back too. So I think they're just trying to get themselves as many options as possible at both guard spots right now, even though like they could just sign Spain and have him start against the Titans.
Yeah, I just like that it's, kind of one of the best available options out there right now. And it does show kind of an urgency and maybe a quote unquote win now type of mentality. I mean, they're not satisfied with the product that's being put out there on the offensive line. So, I mean, whether they sign him or not, I don't know, but I like that move. I am curious to know what maybe if he does sign, what the offensive line looks like when Xavier Su'a-Filo comes back, because he was signed to kind of be that right guard, got hurt. He's naturally a left guard. So then do you move Su'a-Filo to left and Spain at right, and you kind of see what happens there? What happens to Mike Jordan? I don't know, but I guess that's a good problem to have more options.
No, Jake is right though. If he's visiting now, like it's pretty much guaranteed to sign. It's just a matter of when, and like Matt said, if it's before or after the Titans game, that could affect what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And it's good to see that they're being active in that. I was getting a little nervous. There were some reports, some what seemed to be pretty legitimate reports, that there was an interest from the Bengals, but I was a little concerned they were to be like, we got better, a little bit better, and we've had the consistent, because they always talk about consistency and having the same 5 guys. So it's good to see that they are looking into that and willing to make a move. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're taking a huge step back consistency wise if you do it, but I mean, are we getting Michael Jordan out of there? If Su'a-Filo is back, Su'a-Filo was supposed to be the starting right guard since he got signed, but his background is as a left guard. Like the majority of what he's done in the NFL is as a left guard. So yeah, I mean, could it be a complete turnaround? That's really what's been the problem. We can talk. Look, they need to upgrade at right tackle, but Bobby Hart's been serviceable this year. Like if the rest of the line was fine, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's really those guards that have been the issue. So that could be a major, major change if Su'a-Filo can step up and they bring in Spain. That'd be a big move. Somebody here talking about Williams, Quinnen Williams. Another move that people have kind of rumored about, hoped for. So I mean, potential buyers and sellers here in heading in and go for trades as we look at the Dunlap situation. If they're willing to go out and sign outside free agents, maybe they're willing to make a move on a guy like this. I don't know. You think there's any chance they bring in Williams?
Probably not. Like they're probably gonna have to cough up at the very minimum a 3rd round pick, which I think could be smart when you look at like what they probably need in this upcoming draft and what Williams is. I mean, people forget he was a 3rd overall pick, and it takes a minute for some defensive tackles to develop. I think we're looking at Ed Oliver still trying to make that next step, and he was the guy that was pitted against Williams in that draft class. I mean, with the Jets, like, who knows how good these guys are when they get out of a system that's run by Adam Gase and Greg Williams. But Williams is still young. I think he's not even 23 years old yet, or maybe he just turned 23. but he was on the younger side when he came out of Alabama, and he's every bit as talented as he was in Alabama, specifically as a run defender. Like people were talking about, the Bengals maybe drafting like a defensive tackle in the second round this year, and like, well, they have so much depth. Well, we saw that depth get eviscerated by stuff that we didn't expect, but also the fact that the guys behind Geno Atkins just weren't very good, and the fact that Geno Atkins is entering the second stage of his career. They need a guy like Quinnen Williams. I would encourage them to at least, talk to the Jets to see what kind of offer they can come up with, and I think they can potentially work something out. But if it comes down to them having to offer a third-round pick, which is probably going to be a top 70 pick or even a second-round pick, I'm not sure they're going to bite.
Yeah, I don't see a second round pick being something they would be willing to part with. The only reason I would say they would part with a third round pick, maybe if something happens with their super valuable compensatory pick formula and they end up getting a third round pick somewhere in there or another fourth round pick, and they'd be willing to part with that. But just really to not to belabor the point, because you guys made some excellent ones about Quinnen Williams. The one thing I'll say that makes it really appealing is the fact that he is a top 3 pick on a rookie contract, so it's manageable, and you can still potentially have him for a couple more years if he's productive. So that makes it appealing. It's again, the Bengals love their draft picks, so they probably aren't going to part with something super high, I wouldn't think. But I don't know. Maybe Zach Taylor gets in a little bit of desperation mode and makes a big move. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about the value of these picks, and I don't know. People talk about the Bengals are going to have a top 5 pick. They're going to win some games in the second half of the season because the schedule's not that tough. I mean, you're probably looking at more.
But how many?
Yeah, but there's some really bad teams too. Like
they're a bad team.
I'm with you on that, but I mean, I don't know. I think probably top 10, but I think 8 to 12 is more reasonable because I still think the number for games to win this year was 5.5. I think there's a chance they hit that. With some of the games they have in the second half of the season. I mean, really,
exactly that
huge game. Go ahead.
They can hit exactly that because they have the tie.
Yes,
I didn't even think about that.
Exactly. Everyone's getting their money back. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that stuff breaks down. Like that's why, and Jake Liskow's in the chat, but I said something the other day on Twitter about the second half of the season, and Jake's like, oh yeah, great. Now they can, now they can get. I forget the way he worded it. But basically, like you're going to give the illusion that you're good by winning a few games against the Giants and the Cowboys and the Texans at the end of the year. But I mean, that's true, and that's why really it's like they need to pull something off. Like this week, next week, they need to do something to have some confidence coming in. I mean, honestly, if they could come out of this year not getting swept by the Browns and not getting swept by, dare I say, the Steelers, and then just what I mean, like just kind of figuring out how to win those, a couple of those games, and then having 4 or 5 wins or whatever. Like at least that's something. Like you're like, okay, maybe they can turn a corner here. But yeah, if you're looking at it and they beat the Redskins and the Giants and and the Cowboys and the Texans and they're at 5.5 wins. What does that 5.5 wins really mean? We got to see them beat somebody good.
I mean, it just means that Zach's not going to get fired at that point. If they take those easy games and they split it, right, or they just don't look very convincing, then you can have that conversation. But I think those number of wins in a vacuum would give the front office the necessary amount of confidence to go into year 3 with this. Like we talked about, the only way he's going to get fired is if he does basically the same job as he did in year 1. And like you said, there are opportunities for that to not happen, for them to at least show improvement on paper, whether or not the wins look convincing or not. But going back to Spain and the prospect of Williams, those would be progressive moves to show that they're not still trying to stick with who they have. And it's showing awareness of what their situation is and realizing that they have to get better in any ways necessary, deviating away from the plan that they had with the offensive line going into the season, recognizing that there is still issues to be done. I think it would be a progressive move, and it could definitely help them considering who they have right there now. But like you said, like those games that they have on tap, including this one, they're winnable, but they still need to win them to actually prove the point that they're trying to prove.
So we're coming up on it now. We got about 8 minutes till kickoff. I want to say, like, in the actives and inactives, there are some interesting things going on here. You got Bailey, who we haven't really seen at linebacker, but Marcus Bailey, does he get in there and do something? You got Winston Rose, everybody loves. I think he's going to be a depth guy this week. And the one though that maybe will matter is Travion Williams. Travion Williams, he's been active. He's played special teams. I don't think he hasn't carried the ball yet in the NFL, but he's a guy he's got a lot of geo to him. He can do a lot of the same sort of things. And this is that type of game. Like, if you're not going to have Mixon for a game, like maybe one where you think you need to pass and score a lot of points. Like, maybe that'll be a good one. So Travion, Geo, like we could see an interesting mix with those guys. I don't know, maybe we see something out of the young guy. Let's just go through. We got about 6 minutes now. Who's got a prediction or score and anything like that? Like, does Travion have a great day? Somebody else step up. What we got?
Anthony, you want to lead that?
The question was if I expect Travion Williams to have a big day. Is that or at least contribute?
Yeah, well, score prediction, and then, like, do you think anything unexpected that'll happen?
I think it'll be a little bit closer game than maybe some of us expect. With some of these inactives, William Jackson, Joe Mixon, all that, I think it'll be a little bit closer. I just think the Bengals are going to have a tough time winning this game. So I think I had 34-23 in my score prediction that I put on Cincy Jungle. Initially, I had the Bengals winning this game, but not anymore with the inactives. So, I think maybe we see a little bit of explosiveness from Travion Williams, maybe something from Drew Sample. But other than that, I think it's going to be a lot of T. Higgins and the other guys stepping up this week.
Yeah, is it Travion taking that 3rd and 1 snap out of fullback? Maybe he bumps Samaje Perine out of that role. Yeah. I
eligible, so Samaje is the only fullback they got.
that is true. Going with just 2 tight ends against this defense. I would like to think that they win because they can so easily beat the Browns because of how bad the Browns probably actually are if they're just competent on defense, if the Bengals are just competent on defense. But I need to see it first. There's a clear formula of how to roll over this defense, and the Browns exposed that back in week 2. Hopefully they're more ready for it. They have actual tape to diagnose these problems before they actually happen. But I would like to see it. I think Baker Mayfield's going to be okay in this game. He's not going to implode like he did against the Ravens way back then and against the Steelers just a week ago. It's going to require the Bengals to just keep up the pace. The over-unders, I think 50.5 for this game. It's probably going to hit that over. Bengals going to have some success on offense, but even without Nick Chubb and Wyatt Teller, they're going to have no problem running the ball with Kareem Hunt and the rest of that offensive line. So something along the lines of like 27 to 20, I would guess, with the Browns in favor.
Yeah, last time around they ran for 4.6 yards per carry in the first half, and then they got going. What were we saying, John? I talked over you there.
I just made a score prediction that hit the under. Wow. All right, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's freaking football.
So yeah, I mean, look, I think everybody probably has noticed that when I don't think the Bengals are going to win, I don't make a prediction. So I don't know what the score is going to be. But, I mean, like before with William Jackson, I could have seen it, but now it's going to be freaking tough. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to take a real effort. But like I said, their backs are up against the wall. I really think this was a prime game, a game that I thought that they could steal. And they really need to do something to have some positive energy in that building before the bye week, especially with everything that's going on. With all the negative press they're getting right now with these old guys wanting to jump ship. So I mean, they need it. Are they going to get it? I don't know. I'm going to say Tony Brown gets in the game because at some point Sims or Phillips is going to piss Lou off enough that my man Tony Brown's going to get in there. I'm going to go ahead and call a pick for Tony Brown too. The defense is going to give up a lot. They need to take some back. They need to get picks. They need to get Burrow opportunities. And Burrow just needs to be an absolute dude, like for them to even have a chance. Like they can't waste opportunities. He has to be out there killing people. I mean, that's what it comes down to. All right, so that's about it. So thank you everyone for joining us. This is the Narragansett Bengals pregame show. Matt Manick with Anthony Cosenza and John Sheeran. Come on back after the game, and Anthony will be talking about what happened and hopefully talking about what idiots the three of us were for predicting the Bengals' doom today. See you then.
Hopefully.
See you guys.